Thank you. Being 5 o'clock, I will now call this council meeting to order. And I'll ask everyone to rise and the city clerk to say a prayer.
O God, let us each in our own way ask your wisdom and guidance in our deliberations. Help us to incorporate into all our decisions those values which will enable us to fulfill our mission, to act as responsible stewards, and to respect and value the cultural and spiritual tradition of all citizens of the city of Prince Albert. For this we pray. Amen.
At this time, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on Treaty 6 land in the home of Métis. And I'd like to remind everyone, if you don't have a silent button on your cell phone, that you ask that you shut it off so you do not disturb us during our meeting. Number 3, approval of the agenda. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to move that the agenda for this meeting be approved as presented, and that the presentations, delegations, and speakers listed on the agenda be heard when called forward by the Mayor.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. The question is now open. And carried. I'm missing somebody though. Who did not show up? Oh no, Dennis. Yellow Greg. Number 4, presentations. We have none. Number 5, declaration of conflict of interest. If anyone has a conflict of interest, they can rise now and let us know which article, and then fill in the appropriate document and give it to the clerk. See no one on, I'll move on. Number 6, adoption of the minutes. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. That the minutes of the regular council meeting held April 22nd, 2024, and the special council meeting held April 24th, 2024 be taken, read, and adopted.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Solomon.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. Did you have? Oh, go ahead. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a minor correction on this, on these minutes on page 22 of our agenda, item number 17.2 and 19. It reads that I was absent and I was in fact in attendance to make those votes. I wasn't afforded an opportunity, so I'd like that to be corrected, please.
Okay, just noted that. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'll prompt the question then. Questions now open and carried. I had 3 proclamations since our last meeting. 7.1, Skin Cancer Awareness Week, May 24. Canadian World Purple Week, May 12th to the 18th. And Neuropathic Medicine Week, May 12th to the 18th. I'll move on now to number 8, public hearings. I'm going to ask council's patience. For these 3, we have to do it a little different because of the way that we serve notice. So we'll start with bylaw 8.1, bylaw 17 to 24, zoning bylaw amendment. This is for 3 readings. I'll ask someone to move it for first, or go to you. Move it to all these 3 things? Okay. So if I could have someone to move this. Councillor Solomon.
I'll move that bylaw number 17 of 2024 receive 3 readings. 2, that the sale of parcel F plan number 68PA08273 to Ron McDonald House Securities in the amount of $1 be approved. And 3, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the sale agreement and any other required documentation on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Thank you. I see no one in the queue, so I'll move for the question. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Mayor, we have bylaw number 17 of 2024 to amend the zoning bylaw to rezone 5.83 acres of land located along 25th Street West from future urban development to R4 high-density residential. This bylaw is for 3 readings today.
Councilor Solomon?
I'll move that, your worship.
Thank you. Seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. And carried. Now, at this point, I'm going to pause the reading of the bylaw and go to a public hearing on this item. And so is there anyone in the audience in attendance that would like to speak about bylaw 17? Hearing none, I'll go to the director.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, members of council. As the previous motion read, bylaw 17 of 2024 is in regards to the rezoning, approximately 6 acres to accommodate the Ronald McDonald House development, 5.83 acres to be exact. We are rezoning from a future urban development district to an R4 high-density residential district. Our request this evening is for 3 readings. We have done public notice. We've not received any formal communication through our office, although anecdotally throughout the community, I have certainly heard a lot of general support for this excellent project. So with that, nothing further from me, but I'd be happy to answer your questions.
You have no questions? Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to move to second reading. Councilor Solomon.
I'll move that bylaw number 17 of 2024 be read a second time.
Councilor Gilmer.
I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. And carried unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll move for leave. Councilor Solomon.
I'll move that leave be granted to read bylaw number 17 of 2024 a third time.
Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll second that.
Thank you. It is now open, the vote. And the vote carries unanimously. So leave is granted. Councilor Solomon.
I'll move that bylaw number 17 of 2024 be read a third time and passed, and that bylaw number 17 of 2024 be now adopted, sealed, and signed by the mayor and city clerk.
Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. The question is now open and carried. Thank you. I'll move to 8.2, bylaw number 18, rezoning 4080 7th East to future development. Okay, so I need a motion to move this forward. Councilor Edwards.
Also move the bylaw number 18 of 2024 be introduced and given 3 readings.
Thank you. Councilor Cody.
Yes, I will second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Whoop. Hang on. Councilor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just thought I'd flag, before we vote on this, there is a letter of opposition as well indicating their opposition to this site. I know in this area we have 2 liquor stores already, the Marcus Inn and the Co-op gas station. you know, do we need another one in this area? As would be my first question. You know, and a second question, I just want to point out, we just passed a motion to reduce liquor sales within our city to add another complement of a liquor store. Is that something this council wants to do? You know, and especially coming in that side of the highway, do we want people coming into our city to see liquor stores the first thing, you know, besides our brand new building? So I guess a question to the director, what's happening to the 2 liquor sales in that area? You know, I know in this comment in this chamber, we've talked about highlighting the business models for other companies to do well. You know, and I look to our cannabis shops, we limit the 3 of them because we want all 3 to do well. So looking at this liquor permit, adding another liquor complement into our city, will it suffer because there's so many others already? I think we have the most drive-through liquor stores in the province, in our city, and do we need another one?
Okay, I'll have the director give you the correct information because
you.
we're not adding another liquor store. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Head, for the question. One thing, yes, I will clarify for the public is that although we are creating a new liquor store, in order for this one to open, one of the ones that you referenced along Marquis Road needs to be closed. It is the same owner, and they will be required to shut down and cease operation prior to this one opening. I will also remind members of the public, this evening we're considering the rezoning of the property to highway commercial. The development permit itself was approved approximately 1 year ago. They are going to be commencing with construction here at the end of the month. However, again, this will not be adding an additional store. It will be replacing one that already exists.
Thank you. And I'm looking at the rezoning definition, so highway commercial in order, and in the definition is to provide a diverse mixture of large-scale commercial uses. As an automobile-dependent zoning district, the intention is to provide adequate space for large-scale commercial developments, as well as easy access to the city, many arterial and highway corridors. I don't think, you know, I get we're changing over, but the definition doesn't capture this liquor store. I think, you know, the zoning is to allow other access in other buildings. I'm not sure if zoning this liquor store is appropriate under that. I guess they do qualify under this commercial zone, but my hopes that we would look for possibly another location. Hearing that there's going to be a store closed, and I'm guessing it's the Marcus Road store. They still have another one in that area for the people attending. So.
Yeah, and I'll let the director correct your information again. And this is phase 1 of the development on that property. Go ahead, Director.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity. Thank you, Councillor Head, for the comments as well. Correct. The northern portion of this property is getting developed as a liquor store. What is a much larger commercial development on the southern half of this project will be moving forward in short order as well. I'll let the developer make those sorts of announcements that will be coming forward to City Council for consideration as well. So that is a much larger scale development that this liquor store will complement rather than standing alone on this parcel.
Thank you.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor Dion, and just in reflecting to some of the comments there, we have 10 liquor licenses. This is a known fact, or it should be a known fact, that we're not adding liquor licenses. And the public need to know that, and we need to make it very clear that I don't think anybody in this council want to add a liquor license. We have 10. We haven't added to that. It's just that some of them have been sold and moved across the city. This isn't new information. And we should know this information. There's 10 licenses in the city. We're not adding to it. There is currently one, as we noted, on Marquis Road. So how far away, what's the distance difference from the one on Marquis versus the one going into the yard? So close Marquis, moving how many feet into this one? Do we know that distance?
Go ahead, Director.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Edwards, for the question. I don't know that exact distance, but what I can say is that our minimum distances between liquor stores are a minimum of 500 meters. So there's no new liquor stores that are allowed within 500 meters of one another. So this is a minimum of 500 meters away from the Co-op liquor store located adjacent to the gas station to the west, or yes, to the west.
To the west, so that one will remain.
Correct.
Yes. So we're moving just basically, 500 meters, one to the other. It's not going to make a significant difference to the community. But I mean, when people don't know the facts, I understand. Certainly the letter of opposition makes some sense when you don't know the full information. Absolutely. Adding to our liquor licenses in the city could make a difference, but that's not the case. We're not doing that. It needs to be very clear. Hope the media catch on to that. and 10 liquor licenses in the city. Some have been bought, some have been shuffled. Thank you.
Correct, and just to follow up on that, because we'll have another application coming. We actually today only have 9 operating. We have another business that owns one, but has not told us yet what they're gonna do with it and the location it's gonna be. But you're absolutely right, we only allow 10. So I'll prompt the question. The question's now open. I'm missing a vote. Oh, I got it. Thank you. Passes 7-1.
Dennis's vote.
This is me or you? Go ahead.
Mayor, we have bylaw number 18 of 2024 to amend the zoning bylaw to rezone 4280 7th Avenue East from future urban development to C4 highway commercial. This bylaw is for 3 readings today.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards?
Also move the bylaw number 18 of 2024 be introduced and read a first time. I do have a comment afterwards.
Okay,
I'll move a second.
okay, back to you, Councillor Edwards.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Dion. Just a quick question. How long has the city had 10 licenses for liquor stores? Do we know?
God, forever.
20 years?
Go ahead, Director.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Edwards, for the question. I can say it's been certainly over the course of my career, which spans over 15 years. I can get you an exact date, but I would want to make sure I confirm with SLGA before I do that.
And my point to the question has been a long time.
Oh, a long
We've
time.
had 10 licenses forever and ever since I've been around for sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to prompt the question. Question's now open. And carried 7-1. Yes, yes, I know. Now, I'm going to pause the readings of the bylaw again for a public hearing. So is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on 8.2, bylaw number 18 of 24? I see no one going to the podium. Director.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity. Bylaw 18 of 2024, as discussed, is rezoning this parcel from future urban development to our C4 highway commercial district. I've got nothing further to add to the discussion that's already taken place. We've gotten one letter of opposition, which is attached to your agenda this evening, which I know you've all reviewed. So I will pass it to you if you've got anything further.
Thank you. And I see no one, so I'm going to close the public hearing. And I'll move for second reading. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you. I'll move that bylaw number 18 of 2024 be read a second time.
Councillor Cody.
I will move the second time.
Thank you. And I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. And carries 7-1. Councillor Edwards.
Also move that leave be granted to read bylaw number 18 of 2024 a third time.
Thank you. Seconder.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Comment, Mayor Dion.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Just for clarification purposes, if this isn't unanimous, what happens?
Then it's deferred to the next meeting and we'll hold out the development permit, or I'll have to call a special meeting so the person can start construction.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Questions now open. Oh, carried leave. Thank you for that. Counselor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. Also move the bylaw number 18 of 2024 be read a third time and passed, and the bylaw number 18 of 2024 be now adopted, sealed, and signed by the mayor and city clerk.
Counselor Cody.
I will second that.
Thank you. And I'll prompt the question. And the question's now open. Pass 7-1, thank you. Eight point three. District official plan amendment for 3 readings. One is a bylaw. It doesn't say a bylaw on here. Okay, sorry. And there's a bylaw that has to be passed. So someone to move the bylaw. Councilor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. That bylaw number 15 of 2024 be given 3 readings.
Thank you. Seconder. Councilor Kilmer.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Councilor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question for the person who wrote the report. I don't know if she's here today, but highlighting the changes, and then the changes was deleting section 11. Now I went to the bylaw to find what section 11 was because it doesn't show the deletion in here, but it does kind of highlight what the changes. Could you speak to that a little bit on what the purpose of your deletion is, and kind of, I realize you're trying to streamline the process a bit, but if you would explain.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Head, for the question. So, you're right, I didn't write the report, but I can certainly answer that for you. Previously, Section 11 of the District Official Community Plan identified which matters need to go in front of the Planning Commission for consideration. The intent of the District Planning Commission is to speak to and deliberate regional items. Now, previously, smaller subdivisions, smaller development permits that did not affect anyone but the municipality that they're located in took up quite a bit of time and a significant amount of the agenda. So removing those items and focusing only on district items certainly makes the, like you suggest, streamlines the processes and focuses the discussions more on issues that affect all 3 parties.
Thank you for that explanation, yes.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Question is now open and carried unanimously. City Clerk. Oh, no, sorry. I have to pause the vote again for a public hearing. Oh, you got to do, oh, okay, sorry. I got to do first reading. This won't happen again. I apologize for the mix-up.
Mayor, we have bylaw number 15 of 2024 to amend Prince Albert District Official Community Plan to align with various recent amendments made by the RM of Prince Albert and RM of Buckland. This bylaw is for 3 readings today.
Thank you. Councilor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. That bylaw number 15, 2024 be introduced and given first reading.
Thank you. Seconder.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. It is now open and carried unanimously. Thank you. Now I have to pause again for a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on bylaw number 15? Seeing none, I'll go to the director.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, for the consideration. Bylaw 15 of 2024 is a bylaw to amend the city or the district official community plan. As you know, that's a partnership between the city and the RMs of Buckland and the RM of Prince Albert. The 3 sections that are being amended is Section 11, like Councillor Head alluded to, Section 7.3.5, which amends some definitions to align with the province, and further Section 5.3.5 that makes some suggested wording changes to streamline the process for subdivision and development review. We have taken a look at these in detail. This does not affect in any negative way the residents of the city of Prince Albert, and therefore we support the approval of bylaw 15 of 2024, and we've not received any opposition to this matter, so I can answer any of your questions if you have.
See there's none, and I see there's no one in the audience, so I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to move to second reading. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. That bylaw number 15 of 2024 be given a second reading.
Thank you. Councillor
I'll
Kilmer.
second that.
Thank you. It is now open. And carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillor Kilmer. Oh, sorry. No, Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. That leave be granted to read bylaw number 15 of 2024 a third time.
Thank you, Councillor
I'll
Kilmer.
second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. And passed unanimously, leave is granted. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. That bylaw number 15 of 2024 be read a third time passed, and that bylaw number 15 of 2024 now be adopted, sealed, signed by the mayor and city clerk.
Thank you, Councillor Kilmer.
I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. And carried. Okay, delegations, we have none. Number 10, communications, we have none. 11, reports of administrations and committee. 11.1, transit fare review. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'd like to move that the following bus pass fares be approved and come into effect September 1st, 2024, as laid out on the table in front of us. And that the subsidized high school bus pass letters of understanding between the city and the Saskatchewan Rivers Public School Division and the Prince Albert Catholic School Division be terminated following the 2023-2024 school year. That administration explore a standard bus pass vendor, a letter of understanding with the Public School Division and the Catholic School Division, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the letters of understanding and any other necessary documents on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Councillor Solomon.
I'll second that, Mayor Dion.
Thank you. Any comments? I see no one in the queue. It is now open. And carried. Thank you. 11.2, 2024 Dust Suppression Program. This is for 3 readings. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. That bylaw number 14 of 2024 be introduced and given 3 readings.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Solomon.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I do have a couple questions about this one. First, I guess, my first question is, how many streets, roads we don't give dust suppression? Because it always shocks me that we have any of these roads that aren't addressed in our city. I realize the residents have to pay for it, but sometimes the streets just don't line up to have a full complement of a neighborhood. So what streets are left unoiled? throughout the year, would be my first question. And then I see in the bylaw number 14, it is all bolded. I'm assuming this is all new. Did we increase our rates from last year to this year? Would be my two questions, I guess.
Who's gonna? Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. Through to Councillor Head's question. That's a very good question. I don't have the list or number of roads that are not hard surfaced, but that do not get dust suppression applied to them. As far as the rates we've calculated are actually a little bit lower this year than they were last year. And that just goes by sort of the actuals that we end up charging and applying for the program.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mayor Dion, as well.
Go ahead.
So throughout the years, we keep doing these roads, and eventually it gets a hard surface on it. And some of the hard surfaces have been graded up anyways. And there's a couple of residents that, kind of want to stop doing it because the surface is already hard and there's no reason for it anymore. So do they have to do a petition not to have it anymore?
Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor Dion, through to Councillor Miller's question. So yes, to be removed from the program, they would have to petition for removal. So it's similar to the petition for being added to the program. So they would have to have that in ahead of next year's program.
Thank you.
Okay, City Clerk. Did what? Oh, I didn't vote? Oh, sorry. Well, there's so many changes. It is now open. And carried. City Clerk.
Mayor, we have bylaw number 14 of 2024 to establish the 2024 charge for municipal dust suppression work in city streets and lanes. This bylaw is for 3 readings today.
Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. That bylaw number 14 of 2024 be read a first time.
Thank you. Councillor Solomon.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. And carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillor Miller.
That bylaw number 14 of 2024 be read a second time.
Councillor Solomon.
I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. And carried unanimously. Councillor Miller.
That leave be granted to read bylaw number 14 of 2024 a third time.
Councillor Solomon.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. Questions now open. Passed unanimously. Leave is granted. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. That bylaw number 14 of 2024 be read a third time and passed, and that bylaw number 14 of 2024 be now adopted, sealed, and signed by the mayor and city clerk.
Councillor Solomon.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. 11.3, single axle sanitation truck tender. Just give me 1 minute here. Councillor Edwards.
I'll move that tender number 23 of 2024 for the purchase of a side axle sanitation truck be awarded to Fur Mark Equipment at a cost of $232,327.52, including PST, to be funded from the Fleet Equipment Reserve. 2, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute any applicable documents on behalf of the city if required.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Kilmer.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any questions? I have one. What unit is this replacing, and are we putting that unit up for sale that it's replacing? So I guess that's 2 questions. Go ahead, sir. Your go. Don't touch anything, please.
Don't
sir.
touch nothing?
No.
Thank you, Mayor.
I know you're an operator and you like to push buttons, but no, you don't have to. You're up.
Thank you for the question, Mayor. Yes, we will be selling the existing unit, and my apologies, I don't have the unit number in
That's
my
fine.
notes with me here today, or do I?
No, that's fine, as long as I know it's being sold.
It's Unit 54, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll prompt the question. Question is now open and carried. Thank you. $11.4, two tandem trucks with slide sanders, tender 27. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll move that the tender number 27 of 2024 for the purchase of 2 tandem trucks with slide-in sanders be awarded to the Frontline Truck and Trailer at a cost of $723,724.45, including PST, to be funded from the Fleet Equipment Reserve, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute any applicable documents on behalf of the city if required.
Thank you. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll second that.
Thank you. Any comments? Councillor Cody.
Just a very quick comment so the public knows that we just got done spending $32,000 on PST. That could have well looked after a lot of things for the city of Prince Albert. The first truck was $10,000, this one's $32,000, for a total of $42,000 PST. That is awful. And the provincial government should be hearing about it every day from everybody, because that $42,000 could be well spent on homelessness or something that is far more has a greater necessity than PST.
Thank you. Prompt the question. Questions now open. And carried. Who didn't vote? Tara. Councillor Lennox, too late, sorry. Okay. Do you need a minute or you ready to go ahead? Okay. 11.5, concrete supply and insulation. Councillor Solomon.
I'll move that city enter into the fourth year of a negotiated supply contract for concrete supply and installation with Wheatland Builders and Concrete Limited. That administration be authorized to negotiate the 2024 concrete price schedule with Wheatland Builders and Concrete Limited, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the contract and any other documentation on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Edwards?
Second that, your worship.
Thank you. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. A couple questions on this motion here today. I see that there was an expression of interest in 2021, doing it 1 year with additional 3 years. So we're on our fourth year now. I guess a question to administration, will this be an expression of interest next year? That would be my first question. And then you also indicate that this is a confident that this is a fair value, but these increases have and will affect the quality of pavement construction that can be completed compared to the previous year. So will we see a decrease in paving within our city as well? So two questions.
You mean concrete work?
Concrete. Administration is confident, but it does say paving construction that can be completed compared to the previous years. So the report speaks to paving.
Oh, it's concrete.
Well, then at least the first question would still
Yes.
would still be appropriate. Will we be seeing a expression of interest next year on this one? To the director, I guess. Oh, thank you, Nicole. Yes.
You're up.
Thank you, Councillor Head, for the question. Yes, you're correct. This is the last year of the negotiated price schedule with B&B Construction Group, and in 2025, there will be a new expression of interest out.
Perfect. Thank you. I might have one other question that might be a little difficult to answer today. So we set aside $4 million and $400,000. I know we do a lot of paving as well, not just on sidewalks and concrete. It does, when we are ordering concrete for the city, and I would say in different departments, is that taken away from this total, I guess? Or do we have a separate budget for those construction builds? Because I know we're talking about sidewalks. And so when this contract would be to do with sidewalks, does this include, my question is, other concrete work that we order? Because we're not only just ordering concrete for sidewalks, we use it for our catch basins, for our manholes, for all of those other departments as well. Is this included and taken out of this cost?
Thank you for the question. The concrete that's utilized through the operations budget for maintenance concrete, as well as through the water and sewer operations for their manholes, is not included in this $4.4 million.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I'll prompt the question. Questions now open and carried. Thank you. 11.6, asphalt supply and paving. Councilor Cody.
Yes, your worship, I move that the city enter into the fourth year of the negotiated supply contract for asphalt supply and paving with B&B Construction Group, Inc. And number two, that administration be authorized to negotiate the 2024 asphalt and paving price scheduled with B&B Construction Group, Inc. And three, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the contract and any other documentation on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Seconder.
I'll second that, Mayor Dion.
Thank you. Councilor Head.
Thank you, Worship. I see these motions were separated. The reports are together. So to the question, I guess, to the director, it says, again, you're referencing that the cost of the pavement will have a reduction. I mean, of course, everything does. But do you anticipate any shortfalls with our current plan of roads that we plan to address? And again, I'm going off the comment on your report here, saying that there could be impacts to our plan this year.
Go ahead, Director. Go ahead, Director.
Thank you, Mayor, through to Councillor Head's question. So certainly every year, as prices go up, the cost of paving and construction also increases. That does have an impact on, you know, how many actual square meters can be done. However, every year as we look through our program, we try to make sure we're picking roads that can maximize the amount of paving that we get done, particularly as it overlays with other, you know, underground replacements, et cetera, et cetera. So in that sense, no, we're not foreseeing a scaled back paving program or anything to that effect off of the prices that we're looking at.
Councillor Miller?
Yes, I have a question. So who looks after it's all paved and everything, the dips in the road? I notice out here on 11th Street, when you were driving down it, it's kind of dipping. And why does that happen? Do you know?
Go ahead, Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor, through to Councillor Miller's inquiry. So that's a great question. In those cases, either you have some soil conditions when we were doing an underground replacement that didn't allow for proper compaction. So that wouldn't have been the paving, or it wouldn't have been caused due to the paving program or to the paving that occurred on that street. So it's a little deeper than the actual, than just that surface works that gets done.
Right. So how do we correct that?
So for instances like this, very good question. The correction would have to be just require an actual cutout of that dipped area in order to bring it up to grade and seal it over again. But I know we've been doing a lot of work with our underground crews to ensure that we're getting good material for backfilling. So we have our clay pit off of Marquis Road and 15th, where oftentimes what we're doing is bringing in fresh, clean material that can compact really well to try to avoid those types of situations.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. $11.7, lease agreement, Commonweal Community Art, Inc. Councillor,
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to move that a lease agreement between the city and Commonwealth Community Arts, Inc. for 185 square feet of office space located within the Margot Fournier Arts Center be approved for a 2-year term from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2026, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the lease agreement on behalf of the city.
seconder? Councillor Sullivan,
I'll second that, Your Worship.
welcome. As I get ready to prompt the question, I'd like to remind the departments we would like to see the lease payments in the recommendation as well, so we can approve the amount that they're going to pay. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. Okay. 11.8, Man Northway Rights Agreement, PA Slow Pitch League. Councillor Solomon.
I'll move that the naming rights agreement between the city and Man Northway Auto Source Limited Buick in the amount of $10,000 per year for 3 years ending December 31st, 2026 be approved, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Seconder.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any
Thank you.
questions or comments? It's another great partnership. I'd like to thank Man Motors, you know, for stepping up. We did lose our sponsor and they stepped up. So thank you to Man Motors. Councillor Solomon.
I will make a comment to this, Your Worship. As a longtime member who's used those diamonds probably over the last 25 years, the sponsorship program really did make a difference when it was initiated quite a few years ago. I know our former sponsor is leaving. I'm just happy that Man Northway did pick it up, and we're going to continue to see those improvements in the diamonds. Last year, the shale that was compacted was dug up and resurfaced, made a much safer playing surface, and the water wicked off a lot better. So the money does go to good use. Thank you.
Right on. Okay, I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. I'm missing one. Oh, got it, thank you. 11.9, abatement request, 4537, 4649 7th Avenue East. Councilor Kilmer,
Thank you. I would like to move to table this for discussion later.
thank you. Seconder? Thank you. Now, just give us a minute to get the motion ready. No discussion on the tabling motion.
No, later in the meeting, I think she's, oh, just table for, it'd be under unfinished.
Table to the next.
Postponed.
Yeah, just give me a minute here. Okay, go ahead. This is a postpone. No.
Table to the next meeting, you can table in the meeting, but not at the table.
Go ahead.
Point of information, I thought our procedure bylaw would only allow discussion on why to postpone, a reason to postpone, not the content of the issue. And I was hopeful to ask the mover, because I'm interested in the motion. I think I'd like to vote for it, but I'm interested to know what, to what purpose to postpone. But I do not want to talk about the issue on the item.
Councilor Kilmer.
I just want
From
to
my
ensure that this organization, that the reason to wait and discuss is that this organization may provide services that weren't captured in the tax.
Okay.
I see, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do you have the question ready, or do I just use? Just use it?
Okay, we got another question as well.
Green, bottom.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just, I guess the clarification, if we vote on this motion to postpone it to the next meeting, we'll be getting more information from maybe the tenants or from the individuals?
That's the intent, yes.
Ah, okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? I'm not touching the screen. Anyone else? Okay. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. 1110, abatement request 336 16th Street West. Motion. Councilor Edwards.
Also move that the request to abate any amount of property taxes for the property located at 336 16th Street West be denied.
Thank you. Councilor Kilmer.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Councilor Zepp.
Thank you. I do have some sympathy here. I think it's a hard question to pose to us. But the report does indicate that the business did close in 2019 and there have been issues with tenants ongoing, and they are asking for any amount of help. So I just wanted to put that on the table, that I think they're going through the right process to seek to us, would we consider any form of abatement to assist.
Thank you. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. Abatement request 3021 Erickson Crescent. Boy, this goes to me. I just need someone to move it to me. Councillor Edwards?
Also move that the outstanding penalty arrears in the amount of $200 for the property located at 3021 Erickson Crescent be funded from the Mayor's Compassionate Fund in 2024.
Thank you. Councillor Kilmer?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. I am sympathetic to all these requests for sure. Looking at this one, I'm not sure, when I seen this, it is such a small amount, and I think the arrears are a little bit higher than the $200, looking at the report, $275.13. So there, I don't know if we considered that, and nor do I think we need a motion to do this. We approve your budget at $4,000 to do this compassion fund, and I think it's at your discretion on how you use it.
Yes.
So I don't know sure if you need direction from this council, and if we are going to put a motion, will we not capture the full amount of $271 as the $275.13 as the tenant or resident is asking?
Okay, I'll ask the finance director to answer that, as I'm in the process of doing it. But you're right. Go ahead.
I just want to clarify that the amount is only $200 because the resident made a payment after she sent that email. So the amount is actually $200.
And the reason it came to council, she directed the letter here. So it should have just been referred to my office because I would have done it. But that's why it came here. The letter was directed to council, not to me. You're welcome. And I'll prompt the question. The question's now open. And carried. Thank you. Okay. You, just checking. 11.12, bylaw number 9 of 24, property tax penalties and bylaw, 3 readings. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I read the report and I agree with the motion that bylaw number 9 of 2024 be introduced and given 3 readings.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Edwards.
I'll second, Your Worship.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. City Clerk. No, I just was going to ask you to help me with the screen, but it came up. And it carried. Thank you. Now to the City Clerk.
Mayor, we have bylaw number 9 of 2024 to amend the property tax penalties and incentives bylaw by removing portions pertaining to the COVID-19 relief program that was implemented for the 2020 property tax year. This bylaw is for 3 readings today.
Thank you. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to move that bylaw number 9 of 2024 be introduced and read a first time.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Seconded.
Thank you, and I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. I'm missing one. Okay. Motion now carries. Counselor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to move that bylaw number 9 of 2024 be read a second time.
Counselor Edwards.
Seconded, Your Worship.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Counselor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to move that leave be granted to read bylaw number 9 of 2024 a third time.
Counselor Edwards.
Second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. Prompt the question. Questions now open. Carried unanimously. Leave is granted. Counselor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to move that the bylaw number 9 of 2024 be read a third time and passed, and that bylaw number 9 of 2024 be now adopted, sealed, and signed by the mayor and city clerk.
Thank you. Counselor Edwards.
Seconded.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. Affordable Housing Program Application 1347 14th Street West and 423 12th Street West, Riverbank Development Corporation. Councilor Kilmer.
Hi. Hi. Hi.
Okay.
I would
It's a long night.
Sorry. I'll move that the Affordable Housing Program application made by Riverbank Development Corporation for $20,000 be approved, subject to A, the applicant obtaining building permits for 2 houses with basement suites to be located at 1347 14th Street West and 423 12th Street West, and that the applicant enter into an operating agreement with the city for each respective property, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the agreements on behalf of the city. And I'd like to speak after,
Okay.
if there's a second.
Councilor Zepp.
Seconder, and I would also like an opportunity to speak after.
Okay. Can you shut yours off? Okay, Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you. I just want to thank Riverbank Development Corporation for the outstanding work that they do for our community. The number of housing units, I'm not quite sure the exact number, in the 400 range that they manage and help our community in the continuum of housing. I do have a question for the director. It says, I'm just wondering how the city ensures dwelling units, in quotation marks, ensure dwelling units are affordable rate for the term of the agreement. I'm just wondering the affordable rate piece, how do we do that?
Go ahead, Director of Planning.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Kilmer, for the question. So in the agreement that we execute with the developer, in this case, Riverbank Development Corporation, they are required, it's a 15-year agreement minimum, and the maximum they can charge is 80% of the market value. So that 80% is the threshold that they meet, and that market value is based on rates established by Community or Canada Mortgage and Housing Agency. So that is reflected in the agreement that we have with them.
Thank you very much.
One left. Thank you. Councilor Zepp.
I also wanted to thank Riverbank for the good work that they do. It's very important work to have affordable housing in our city, and what a great housing reserve that we have. We can, you know, contribute to this important work because of the foresight of having that housing reserve that existed long before my time. I would note that the balance of the housing reserve is listed in the report. I believe it's $100,000 balance remaining. And just a reminder that we do have to put money in so that we can spend it on important things. It wasn't too long ago that we would see these reports and they would tell us that our balance was around 400,000. And we spend the money, and we spend it on great things, and that's a good thing. We also need to remember that we have to replenish it.
Okay. No, we got one now. Don't touch it. Okay, I'm prompting the question. Question's now open. I'm missing one. No, still don't have it. Okay, I closed it now. Okay, ready? Okay. 11:14, petition received, public meeting, voters. Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll move that the petition filed by B. Pololinsky on April 19th, 2024 be received as information and filed.
Thank you. Seconder.
I'll second Mayor Dion.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Oop. Councilor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. You know, I do see that there's some alternatives to just simply receiving and filing. The administration is talking about to have a public meeting. And I realize that the report also talks about recognizing the petition that did come in short of what the criteria is that the city is to act on that petition. However, a lot of people had indicated their concerns for this issue, and I think there's some value here to continue these conversations to clear the air in our city about what the issues were, what is corrected. I mean, this is the first time I've seen this contract in here since on Thursday when the agenda was uploaded. But you know, so I think maybe the residents maybe want to have to address that. I know there's a lot of concerns about that. I see some of the director and the board chair here today, and maybe they have a few comments. I don't know if you're opening up that avenue for them, or questions to them.
No.
But maybe I guess the way the motion stands, I won't be supporting it. I think we should hold a meeting again, even if it's you know, looking at the petitions that were notable, acceptable. 1,800 people in the city had reached out, and I think there's some value to have a meeting for those 1,800 people. So I would hope that this mover maybe makes the change, or this council revisits this motion to allow some public hearing on this topic.
A board. Recall. Hang on. Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. Yes, I see that our service provider did put in this petition and it was signed. I have a couple of questions. I'm not going to be changing my motion at this time. I do think there is value once all of the transportation contracts are completed and filled, that we do have a full, robust discussion about transportation in our city with our residents. Absolutely, I think that that serves us well. But I do have a question.
Go ahead.
For our city clerk. When you, through the report, my reading of the understanding was that it was really a preliminary look at the numbers, and just from that look, that you ascertained that the number didn't meet the requirement. If we were to ask you to do an in-depth number, how long would that take you, and what would you suggest? What would the cost be, and what would you suggest the results would be?
So in my review, I didn't just do quick. I didn't, what I didn't do was compare it to a tax roll or water bills or anything like that. So to actually prove that it was a voter was a little more difficult. So I just went based on address. There was some addresses that were rural routes with box numbers with a postal code of S6V. As you know, we have lots of those properties in Nordale, and then they carry forward into the RM of Buckland. So some of those properties, I gave the benefit of the doubt to the petitioners, putting that forward. So in all honesty, I think if I did another review, more names would be removed from the petition. So I'm pretty confident that there's at least that many that I've provided. That's 1777, I think, names, but I would say there's probably less that actually are voters of the city, just considering a lot of rural route numbers. So I would say it's been a thorough review, just without that, without reviewing the tax roll or to basically have something to compare if they're actually a voter. And even then, that wouldn't necessarily tell me that that's a voter. Those who pay taxes or those who pay water bills are not necessarily voters. We don't have a voters list, so there's no I can't do any comparison other than that.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So just to reiterate with that information on top of the motion that I did make, I do think that we want to make sure that our service providers are all included, including First Bus, and that we have a robust meeting with all residents regarding all of the transportation, not just access transit.
Councillor Zepp?
Thank you. I am also in favor of a public meeting being held so that we can, have everything out on the table and hear, and also a two-way conversation, hearing from the public what they seek and what their priorities are. Thank you.
Yeah, and I agree with that too, because the public has asked, is there a better way to do it? And so I think that's what the review would do. Should we continue the way we do it, or is there a better way to do it?
You mean the review?
Councillor Edwards?
I wasn't sure, you were just saying something about the review.
No, in the future, if we decide to do one.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm quite confused at why we're even talking about this right now, to be quite honest with you. From what, I'm just looking for some timelines here. So from what I understand, the petition was put out in January at some point. Is that correct?
Don't know.
Put out in January? Okay. And then handed into the city April 19th, ahead of the 90 days, which is okay. And then a contract was signed when? A contract between the city and Paratransit was signed when? April 3rd or April 26th? Oh no, that was when the council, April 22nd, the city council approved the contract. So when was the contract actually signed?
April 3rd by them.
The contract, the Prince Alberta District Community Services signed the contract on April 3rd, and the mayor and city clerk signed it on the April 29th following the April 22nd city council meeting.
Sorry, the community services signed when?
On April 3rd,
April 3rd.
2024.
Yet the petition came into the city after that
On
date.
April 19th.
So there
We
was a
received the petition.
contract in place, yet the petition followed through. And I'm kind of baffled at why? Because the contract was long overdue and should have occurred however long ago. I think there was attempts to make a contract. I believe the contract looks fair, both parties signed, but yet here we are discussing it. Council approved the contract on April 22nd, yet the CEO confirmed intention to move forward with the petition, but I'm not sure why. The petition, no, I don't need an answer. I'll certainly reach out later in the week for the answer because I'm confused as to why we're here. Because there's a fair contract between both parties. Yet moving forward with the petition, I don't understand the purpose of it. The petitioners wanted the services not to be cut. I think that was the main reason they wanted, and so did we. We didn't want any services to be cut. City Council didn't cut any services. We reviewed the budget and we looked at it and we viewed as the services could continue on with the money that was there. And then that wasn't accepted. The CEO put a petition out and the community got riled up a little bit, maybe not necessarily with all the factual information, and here we are. And I'm not sure why a contract wasn't signed earlier. I would really like to know why that we couldn't get together, both parties, sign that contract, because a contract is fair. A contract's negotiated, and that's necessary. And it was. And I was sure happy to see that it was signed, sealed, done, and we have some definite terms in the contract of funding. And here you are. This is what we're going to agree to. And that's great. But then to move forward with this, it's mind-boggling. And I'll certainly be reaching out this week for the actual intention of why we're talking about this, because to me, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. A public meeting will also cost money to the taxpayers. I agree. If we incorporate all of the transportation, then it makes sense. But to have a public meeting over this, the cost to the taxpayers, which we've already incurred some costs just to do a review, the taxpayers had a cost. So certainly a public meeting will come at a cost. I'm okay with it as long as it's incorporating all of the transportation. Thank you.
Councilor Miller.
Yes, Mayor Dion, thank you very much. I second the motion. Here's why I second the motion. Because I had a few people who contacted me who don't live in the city of Prince Albert who signed it. So I know that it's null and void.
Thank you.
I totally know it. And after the facts came out, I had a few phone calls as well. And they told me, had we known the facts, they would never have signed the petition.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I'm going to prompt a question so we can move on with our meeting. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. I'll move on to number 13 now, Mayor and Councilors Forum. And I'll start off. I'd like to congratulate Dr. Garbler. He's our local physician in our community. He just got elected president of the Saskatchewan Medical Association. So I'd like to congratulate him, and here's another person stepping forward from our community to help us provincially, and I would just personally would like to congratulate him. Councillor Zepp.
Cleanup and Pitchin' Week was this past week, and I heard from many members of the public thanking us as a city for operating this, and I wanted to say a special thank you to Councillor Miller, who's been someone who's mentored me through the process and taught me a lot about how to, do this right on the. It's really an on the ground type of work of interacting with citizens and encouraging. Citizens. Also, a real benefit was educating citizens about where they can take their metal and the different locations that always exist in our city to take cardboard. And people don't always know that until they need it. So that was, I thought, really beneficial. So thank you, Councillor Miller, for the work on this citywide project. And it's nice to see that it's now part of our budget, and we make it a part. Ongoing part of our city planning. So I learned a lot, and thank you to all volunteers, everyone who was able to contribute in all ways, big and small.
Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I also would like to thank all our volunteers for the Community Kitchen Week, including the 4 schools in Ward 1 and Westmore, Queen Mary, Westview, and St. Michael's, and all the children who participated every day, 80 children. And I'd like to thank their teachers and principals for letting the students come out and do some community work for their community, as well as our firefighters who came out and joined the kids with tattoos and their apparatuses, or whatever you like to call them, and with their stickers as well. The kids really enjoyed that. And Silkins, of course, for 80 slushes a day. And the kids really enjoyed them after working a little bit there. And as well as our chili makers. So we had myself, Bernice Saï Center, my local 269 Métis people did chili for the week. And the teachers did as well on Friday. And I would like to thank Loras Disposals. They did a wonderful job, as well as BNN Metals, and our city workers who came out every day and helped us out at the site. And today as well, they graded the parking lot for me after we were done. And our community people who came out and donated their time, Sean, Suzanne, Benny, Trevor, Gabriel, and Caitlin, and Carol, and our whole community who came out and used the bins and everything. It was a great success, and I guess those numbers will roll out pretty soon, and we'll see
How much tonnage we got?
who did well.
Oh, it's a competition now.
It's a competition. Thank you.
Councillor Cody.
Yes, Your Worship, I took the opportunity this last couple of weeks. May 1st, I read a proclamation at the Elks Club, and the proclamation was for the Royal Purple, and it was for Speech and Hearing Month. And the principal from Princess Margaret School, Jarrett Nelson, was there with 2 of his students who have that handicap. So it's certainly appreciated that the Elks Club and the Royal Purple take on this month as Speech and Hearing Month. As well, on Saturday, I was not able to get to the Margaret Fournier renaming, but I was at the Rebecca's, and the Rebecca's had their 115th anniversary at the Anglican Church on 4th, and I had to bring greetings there on your behalf, as well as a tea and bake sale. I don't know if the greetings were as good or not, but the bake sale was great, I can assure you. And they had some lovely stuff there. A lot of people showed up, and goes for a good cause. The Rebecca's do a lot of good work. They're quite a large international organization, and I must say they do a lot of good work, and I thank them kindly for that.
Thank you. Councillor Head.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to echo a little bit some of the comments I've heard from Councillor Miller as well, and Councillor Lennox Zepp. You know, a big thank you to all involved this last week. Thank you to this council body for approving our budget. A special thanks to Councillor Kilmer, Councillor Miller, and Councillor Solomon for actively participating in those cleanup crews along this last week. Big thank you to all the people involved, volunteers throughout every site. My site, John Honored, came and helped me out, along with the First Nations Cadet Corps, a branch from Prince Albert and Sturgeon Lake, a group of young cadets, approximately about 30. We cleaned up the riverbank from Riverside School all the way to 9th Avenue West along the way, and that was in PA now as well. But great big thank you to them. Greenland Waste, BNN Metals, City Crews, and everyone who stopped by to say hello and participate. And I too think that our bins were quite utilized, and we'll see in the report. I think Ward 3 would have been the front runner for that. So thank you.
I don't know if I want to be the ward with the most garbage, but. Okay, the positive way to put it. Councillor Kilmer. the
Thank you
winner.
very much. So apropos that I'm up third but to finish first probably in the. So I just want to echo the thanks that Councillor Miller, Councillor Head, and Councillor Lennox Zepp have mentioned already. The cleanup at the Kinsman site was absolutely fantastic and hopping, even when the weather was not so great. I want to thank, there were 30 volunteers, I'd love to name them all at our sites. One gentleman in particular, Ken Dick, who also looks after the East Hill rink, was there every morning at 6:30 in the morning cleaning up for me and getting the site ready for the day. So special thank you to him. Greenland Waste, BN Metals, the city workers were fantastic. But I also want to mention the Rotary Club, the Kinsman Club, and the Triathlon Club. The Triathlon Club cleaned up out at the Little Red on their annual, this is the 11th year that they do that, the Saturday before cleanup. The Rotary Club went out specifically and cleaned up the Adventure Park, and the Kinsmen spent time in Kinsman Park cleaning during our week. And shout out to the Optimus Club. They ran a appliance pickup fundraiser and helped people dispose of the appliances. So Councillor Miller, it has grown fantastically from the idea of, I'm not sure, 15 years more? So thank you very much for that. Moving on to two other things. The Margot Fournier dedication, I was lucky enough to attend on Saturday. Mitch Holash emceed the event. It was beautiful. It is such an appropriate naming of the art center. I really applaud all of us in the city for naming the center after her. The stories that I heard and the rich history, I mean, I only moved to Prince Albert in 1980, so once you move to Prince Albert, you are here forever. But she obviously had a huge impact on so many individuals, and it was really wonderful to see. So thank you for that. And lastly, I'm hosting a meeting at East Hill Community Club on Tuesday, tomorrow night, at 7. Anna Dinsdale, our wellness and safety and wellness coordinator, will be presenting and talking about what she has been doing for the city and the different tables that are in action and all the good things that are happening. So please, if people have time, you don't have to be in Ward 7 to come. It's free.
Councillor Solomon.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm not going to spend too much more time on the community cleanup. I just do want to thank all the councillors that were involved and all the volunteers and all those folks. Everybody's been thanked, but I do want to thank my colleague, Councillor Kilmore, as we shared the bin site up at Kinsman, and she keeps that going tickety-boo and kept me in line as well, so I appreciate that. So, and of course, just another shout out, I guess, to some bowlers. They're going off to represent Prince Albert at Nationals. One of their traditions is to take pins from the city, and what they do is they share them with other bowlers in exchange and bring them back. And so we have a couple teams that they're off to Nationals, and the mayor's office provided a number of pins so that they could represent the city of Prince Albert in that way. So I wish them luck in their national pursuits. And just lastly, I am also having a community meeting. Mine will have, as well as Anna Dinsdale, will have also the chief of police, and that is on Thursday, May 16th, between 7 and 9 at the Coronet. So thank you.
Councillor Zepp.
Yes, I wanted to mention that the downtown cleanup pitch-in day is June 11th at 9:30 a.m. meeting here in front of City Hall, and we're looking for volunteers. If anyone wants to come out with us, I'll be out there, and so will many others, and we'll do some pitching in of our downtown with the PA Downtown Business Improvement District and others.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. A couple of things. This past Friday, I attended a Kinsman event Friday evening at the Chess Leach, and it was well attended, and what a great event it was. And just the amount of people that come in support of the Kinsman is wonderful, and not lost in the support from the Kinsman is all the great things they do in the community, and all that money gets kicked right back into the community all over the place. We see it, Kinsman Water Park, so many different the Kinsman Ballpark. There's lots of different projects that they've done and continue to do, and you know, we're grateful for them. Volunteers are much needed for their organization and any other service club. We got to get that message out to the folks in PA that we need volunteers for these service clubs, or they're not going to be able to exist, and we all rely heavily on them for the good work they do. The Rotary, so many of them. We need volunteers, so hopefully we can get that word out somewhere. If you have some time, step up to these clubs. I hosted a community meeting on April 18th. It was a Thursday evening. It was a blizzard in April. It was very well attended considering the blizzard that we had. There was about 70 people there. We had Chief Nogier come out in attendance and Anna Dinsdale. And it just showed the people in the city that there's great hope for our city, battling some crime, helping with some of the social issues, and how our city has combined with and partnered with so many organizations to help not fight, but help work together to solve some of the social issues that we have. It's very important that we've done that. We've now shown, you know what, here we go. We've got lots of good things going on. I really believe we should highlight some of those. We should get that out into the media and show what the city and the partnerships are doing to manage some of the social issues, to help the people out that are struggling, because guess what? We've done a lot of great work, and the people appreciate hearing everything that's been done. Maybe the next meeting I'll come equipped with all of the great committees that have been formed. I think it's important that the public know. I think the media should get on board with this, because there's a lot of great projects that are occurring in our city to help. And it's good, and we need to move forward. We need to find positive solutions, and that's what was highlighted in the community meeting in Carlton Park, Crescent Acres. Thank you.
Back to you, Councilor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just for your indulgence, I wanted to mention, I too will be holding a community meeting on Wednesday, May 15th at the Midtown Hall at 6 p.m. Some of the topics of discussion would be from Chief Nogier, Tim Yeaman. We have a splash park being built in Midtown, so I want to highlight that the residents are getting excited about seeing some of the developments there. And then last, we have some of the public works staff as well attending. So and any general questions. So I'd like to highlight that as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'll close. On Friday, I was joined by Councilor Kilmer and Councilor Miller at an exciting project. We had the sod turning. We had 10 shovels. I said we could have dug that hole for the amount of shovels that we had there. But it was a great event. It was well attended by about 200 people. And it just highlighted, and it was just great to see that the construction has started on our new hospital. It's been 10 years in the works, and we've been fighting hard for it. So I'd just like to thank everyone that attended, and I encourage people to drive by and have a look as it gets higher and higher, because it's a great project for our community. So with that, I'm going to move to number 14, inquiries. You hesitated.
Yeah, well, no, I know we got to answer this, and I think I just want to highlight it for the public as well, because even today, being contacted by some of the residents in my ward, you know, around encampments. And so there was, I know we've had some emails going around about plan, and then asking residents who to call when they are seeing some of that, you know, pop up in their back alleys or along the riverbank as well. And I know we've been dealing with that last week and this week. But is there a plan moving forward? Is there a number to call? I've been telling people to just call our bylaw services, and then we will take it from there. I guess I just want to highlight that tonight. So.
Yes, that's the right place to go, is bylaw.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move on from inquiries to number 15, inquiry responses. Councillor Solomon.
Inquiry responses be received as information and filed.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Edwards.
Second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open and carried. Thank you. Notice of motion. Councillor Edwards?
Thank you, Mayor Dion. To make a notice of motion that administration prepare a report outlining options to address vacant or boarded up nuisance properties that includes having a permit from the city to board up prior to boarding. And that if progress to repair has not commenced within 3 to 4 months, property tax of a minimum of $1,600 will be implemented, similar to our vacant property. And that's all for now. It's a report. That's all I'm asking for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I have a notice. I serve notice that in regards to our bridge, that no work be done on our bridge from 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock in the evening, unless it's an emergency or pre-approved by council in advance, and I'll explain it next time when the motions come forward. 17.1 motions. We have Councillor Lennox-App.
Thank you. I move that administration conduct a review of cannabis retail hours of operation.
Okay, any comments? I have a question to a mover. Did you get a letter? How did this come about? Is it a request from one of the cannabis stores? Just how did it come about, please?
I think I need a seconder, but I'd love to answer that.
Sorry. Okay, let's see if you get a sec. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. Seeing there's questions from you, we better have a conversation.
Okay.
Happy to answer that. So when council, it was last term of council when we implemented cannabis retail stores in our city as a result of the province implementing that. We as council, we were able to set hours of operation, and we did so. We did that at that time. And when we did complete that work, would have been around 2018-ish, we talked about what's the magic number? What hour of operation should we have? And we also discussed the alcohol hours of operation of what was current, and also that we couldn't change them at that time legislatively. That we didn't have the ability at that time. L'Orange was eventually working on that issue, and so the reason that I raise this motion now is because last month at our last meeting of City Council, we did amend alcohol sale hours of operation, and that was new for us. We previously didn't have the legislative ability to do so. And so when we did that, it seems as though it makes sense to also consider what is the magic number for cannabis retail hours. Does it make sense right now that you can buy alcohol longer hours than you can cannabis? Would having longer hours of cannabis operation mean we have more employment, we'd have more hours of work, we'd have more employees? And I don't know the answer of what the hours should be, but we should review it periodically. And we just did. We did have a review of the alcohol store hours. And so in tandem, I think it's appropriate for us as a body to review cannabis retail store hours and hear from administration. And maybe we won't change and maybe we will, but it is just a report. But for a purpose that, look, we changed alcohol. Is there any justification that we have different hours for each? I'd like to hear it.
Okay, can you answer my question though? My question was direct. It was, did we get a letter requesting this review from one of the cannabis stores? Because they all told me they were happy. So I just want to know what prompted, normally we respond when we get an inquiry from, a liquor store or cannabis store. So did we get a request from a cannabis store to do this?
So what prompted it was last month's meeting where we reviewed alcohol hours. I have not recently received any requests from a cannabis store. However, you may recall we did have a cannabis retailer from not selling within our city who presented to us, some years, a year or two ago, and gave presentation on the topic. And this was part of it was, you have the power, council, you can set the hours, and And so that has come to us in the past, but the real impetus was, we reviewed alcohol hours. Now, should they be the same hours? And is there any justification that they wouldn't be the same hours?
Okay, I won't be supporting the motion because I believe that it should be started by the retailers. Maybe they haven't wrote us because they're quite happy with us, so I won't be supporting your motion. Okay, and I'll prompt the question. Oh, do you have it ready? Okay, a motion is now open. Oh, no, it ain't. It is now. Motion is tied, so that means it's defeated. Thank you. I move number 18. There's no one registered for public. Councillor Kilmer.
I move to adjourn.
Seconder? Thank you. Just hang on, I've got to prompt the question. Good meeting, everyone. Thank you for coming, and be safe on the way home. Questions now open. Oh, no. No, we're done. Yes. Thank you. Have a good night.